Hello! Motion Mystique Stories here. Today I'm going to explain to you a movie called The Northman. The movie begins in AD 895 as King Orvandil returns to the island of Hrafnsey after his overseas conquests in battle. Eagerly waiting for the king's return is his only son, Prince Amleth. The prince quickly runs to his mother, Queen Gudrun, to give her the good news. They all go to welcome the king, and soon a party is underway to celebrate his success in battle and safe return home. The king's brother, Fionir, also joins the party. After the party, the king and queen are finally alone. King Orvandil reveals to his wife that he was seriously wounded in battle and he might not make it for long. He has to prepare his son to take over the throne even though he may still be a puppy. To prepare his son Amleth for his eventual ascension to the throne, the two participate in a spiritual ceremony overseen by Orvandil's jester, Hymir. This is a customary ceremony that has been performed ever since to prepare a prince to succeed the king. Amleth is instructed to copy everything his father is doing during the ceremony. During the ceremony, Amleth is also made to take a vow. If his father ever dies by the enemy's sword, it is Amleth's duty to avenge him. His father then shows him the injury he suffered in battle and tells him to get used to blood since now he is a man and a warrior. In a vision-like revelation, he is also shown the royal familial tree of kings to which he now belongs. His fate is now sealed, and he can't escape it. The next morning, however, Orvandil and his son are attacked outside the temple. He is shot with several arrows before telling his son to run. The men then stab him severally with spears before Fionir reveals himself among the men. The king is shocked to discover that his own brother is the one behind all this. The king tells him that he will have his vengeance one day, and this misdeed will haunt him for the rest of his days. Fionir then chops off the king's head as Amleth watches from a distance where he is hiding. The soldiers then start chanting Fionir's name as the new king of Hrafnsey. After that, Fionir instructs his soldiers to find the boy, Amleth, and kill him. Amleth has to run. One of the soldiers finally catches up with him inside the woods. Before the soldier can kill him, however, Amleth cuts off half of his nose and escapes to the village. Here, he sees Fionir carrying away his mother, Queen Gudrun. Meanwhile, soldier whose nose was cut reaches the village and lies to Fionir that the boy is dead in the sea, sunk like a stone. Amleth manages to maneuver his way through the village under disguise and makes it to the shore where he finds a boat. He rows the boat away as he chants, "I will avenge you, father! I will save you, mother! I will kill you, Fionir! I will avenge you, father! I will save you, mother! I will kill you, Fionir!" He swears vengeance. We then cut to several years later. Amleth lives as a berserker with a band of Vikings. The young boy has grown into a vicious Viking warrior. We see him and the Viking warriors on one of their raiding expeditions on their way to attack a village in Gardariki. They perform their Viking rituals, and the next day they attack the village where they kill a great number of the inhabitants. The strong survivors are taken to be sold as laborers, while children, the weak and the old, are locked in a house and burnt alive. The next day, before the slaves are shipped to their various destinations, Amleth overhears some of the Viking raiders talking about a group of the captives who are supposed to be shipped to a certain man called Fionir in Iceland. After some inquiry, he learns that the Fionir in question is indeed his uncle who murdered his father. He also learns that Fionir fled to Iceland after being overthrown back in Hrafnsey by another king called Harald. Amleth decides that time has now come to go and avenge his father's death. He clothes and brands himself like a slave and sneaks into the boat, taking the captives to Iceland. Inside the boat, he meets a lady called Olga. She immediately recognizes him to be a Northman and not a captive like the rest of them. They start to talk and grow to like each other through the journey. She discloses to him that she is a sorceress as well. After a very difficult journey, they finally make it to Iceland. At the shore, Amleth sees the soldier with a half nose, but the soldier doesn't even recognize him. He can't remember him after all the years that have passed. When they get to Fionir's farm, we see Fionir, who has grown a bit old since we last saw him. We also meet his two sons, Thorir and Gunnar. The women captives are tasked with house chores, while the men are tasked with taking care of the animals and other heavy tasks. That night, however, Amleth sneaks out of the servant quarters and surveys the compound. In the process, he also manages to see his mother. He realizes that Fionir married her after killing his father. This helps to strengthen his resolve for vengeance. The next day, they begin work at Fionir's farm. Amleth takes every opportunity to be in places that he shouldn't be. He has to investigate as much as possible before planning his course of action. At night, Amleth sneaks out once again and follows a young wolf which leads him to an old cave. There he encounters a he-witch, who facilitates a spiritual dialogue between Amleth and the late Hymir. It is revealed to Amleth that Hymir was also murdered by Fjolnir. The he-witch then tells Amleth about Draugr, a magical sword at a nearby mound. This is the only sword that will aid him in his quest for revenge. Weightless in his own hands, but deadlier than a dragon's fang. The sword can only, however, be unsheathed at night or at the gates of hell. Amleth heads to the mound and enters to obtain the blade. He, however, still has to fight and defeat the undead mound dweller before he can retrieve the sword. He successfully does this and takes the blade with him back to the farm where he hides it on the roof. The next day, Amleth is selected to compete in a game of Nataliker against another farm. The game turns violent and Gunnar is almost killed, but Amleth saves him. As a reward, Fjolnir's adult son, Thorir, grants him overseer duties and allows him to choose a woman. During the evening celebrations, Amleth chooses Olga as his reward, and they make love. They also promise to overcome Fjolnir together so that Olga can also have her freedom back. They decide to unleash terror on Fjolnir's farm until an opportunity to kill him presents itself. Amleth begins by secretly killing a few of Fjolnir's men who are good friends of his son, Thorir. He chops up their bodies and displays them for everyone to see. When Thorir learns of this, he is enraged. His father promises him that the deaths will be investigated and avenged. When the servant of the temple is called, however, she tells them that is the work of a distempered spirit. She says they should make a human sacrifice to appease the spirit. That evening, before the sacrificial ritual can take place, however, Amleth uses the help of the young wolf from before. They howl, and this makes all the dogs in the farm wild and uncontrollable. Fjolnir even has to kill his own dog when it attacks him. Amleth uses this opportunity to free the slave woman intended to be sacrificed and sacrifices one of Fjolnir's men instead. When Fjolnir later sees this, he concludes that they are dealing with a case of sorcery. Later that night, Olga mixes the soldiers' food with hallucinogenic mushrooms. The ensuing chaos makes the soldiers see non-existent things, and some of them even take their own lives because of horror. This allows Amleth to enter Fjolnir's house. He meets his mother and reveals to her that he is her son Amleth. He tells her that he managed to survive when Fjolnir killed the king those many years ago. He tells her that he has come to save her, avenge his father, and kill Fjolnir. Amleth's mother, however, reveals to him that she was originally taken into slavery and that his own conception was the result of rape. She reveals that she wanted Orvandil and Amleth dead, and she is the one who begged Fjolnir to kill them both and take her as his new queen after usurping the king. She also tries to seduce Amleth with a promise of becoming his queen when he finally kills Fjolnir and his sons, but the attempt fails. She intended to trick him and steal the sword to kill him instead. Crazy woman. Enraged, Amleth kills Thorir, Fjolnir's eldest son, in his sleep and steals his heart. He tells Olga of what has just transpired. She offers to run away with him, but he refuses. He doesn't want anyone else to know she is also part of this. They kiss before he runs to hide in the hills. The next day, Fjolnir finds the body of his murdered son with the missing heart. He sobs uncontrollably in grief. Gudrun reveals Amleth's true identity to Fjolnir and calls for him to kill him. She also tells him to find out any other slaves who were involved in Amleth's plans. Fjolnir starts slaughtering the slaves randomly, one after the other. He reaches where Olga is and is about to cut her throat as well when Amleth suddenly calls out to him. He offers to trade Olga's life for Thorir's heart. Fjolnir unleashes his soldiers upon him. Amleth sacrifices himself to be beaten so that Olga can escape. After giving him a severe beating, Fjolnir goes to bury his son first. He promises to come for Amleth's heart later and eat it with his mother. Amleth is, however, released from his restraints by a flock of ravens. Olga rescues Amleth and the two escape by boat. Amleth then has a vision and discovers that Olga is pregnant with twins, one of whom will become the Maiden King prophesied by the seeress. Fearing that his children will never be safe, Amleth decides to kill his uncle and jumps overboard, despite Olga's pleas. Back at the farm, Amleth frees the slaves and kills most of Fjolnir's men. While searching for Fjolnir, Amleth is attacked by his mother and drives Draugr through her heart. Gunnar attacks Amleth, stabbing him repeatedly in the back before Amleth finally kills him as well. Fjolnir, discovering his wife and son dead, tells Amleth to meet him at the gates of hell. The crater of the volcano Hekla to resolve the conflict in a final fight at the volcano. We then see the slaves burning the whole of Fjolnir's farm to the ground. At the gates of hell, Amleth and Fjolnir engage in a fierce sword fight. Fjolnir's head is decapitated by Amleth, but not before he is fatally wounded himself. As Amleth lies dying, he has a future vision of Olga embracing their twin children before a Valkyrie appears to carry him through the gates of Valhalla. The movie then ends. Remember to subscribe for more movies like this. Give this video a thumbs up to support the channel as well. See you in the next movie.